I suppose your magnifier helps you in your investigations, Miss Bow? You're the most remarkable woman I've ever met. Miss Bow, if you're thirsty, I'll go get you something to drink. You don't have to carry that glass around.
Has 1926 been a good year for you, Mr. Dorian?
Yes, Miss Bow, it has. I'm enjoying my sophomore year of college very much.
You're attending college? What's your major?
Art. I hope to be a famous painter someday.
That's wonderful, Mr. Dorian.
Oh, it's no big deal.
What do you make of the theft of the dagger, Mr. Dorian?
I think it's awful, Miss Bow, just awful.
Who do you suppose could have done it?
I have no idea who could have perpetrated such a terrible thing. I just hope they get what's coming to them, that's all.
So do I, Mr. Dorian. Do you know much about Egyptology, Mr. Dorian?
I'm afraid I don't. I wanted to take a class in it this semester, but I couldn't quite manage it.
It's a colossal bust of the pharaoh Ramses II, discovered at the Ramesseum, his mortuary temple on the Nile's west bank opposite present-day Luxor. The complete Ramses statue stood nearly 60 feet tall and weighed more than 1,000 tons. Presumably Ramses was not this large in life, although many people have stated that Ramses had a big head. Looking at a small portion of the big head really doesn't do justice to the immense size of the statue, but you can see that the bust was sculpted with extreme care, almost as if the sculptor's life depended on it, which it did.
You're interested in the great art, no? Then you should come with me this evening. I'll give you the personal tour of the old master's gallery.
Well,
I guarantee that you will not be wasting your time. You will enjoy it very much.
Well,
You are studying the art at the université, no?
Well, yes, but...
Then it is settled. I will give you the private tour in a little while, no?
But
There is no need to thank me yet. I will be enjoying it as much as you will.
You can almost feel the low level of excitement in the room. Many of these partygoers have attended hundreds of fundraising events, seeing the same people, eating the same food, talking about the same things, and generally leading very dreary high society lives.
Back to the rotunda, Fräulein. The rest of the museum is off limits, and you are spooking their mastodons.
It's the doorway to the gift shop. It's a replica of the famous bust of Nefertiti. You've always wondered if the paint wore off, or if the queen really had white eyes. These appear to be copies of ancient Egyptian artifacts. They seem to be nicely crafted. These vessels appear to be replicas of 7th century Welsh condiment pots made for export to Ireland. It's the cash register. What a beautiful Art Deco rug. You almost hate to walk on it. This is the counter where the counter counts the money. What a beautiful painting of the Mask of Tutankhamun. You wish you had the money to buy it. It's a painting of the pharaoh Uber Spamaton hunting geese in the springtime with his hounds and his son, Niet. On each piece you can see a tiny stamp that says, Faux Egyptian Artifacts, crafted with care by Hakim Rashad Hassan Ali Bozorg and Sons. Laura, you'd never steal. It looks just like the Dagger of Amon Ra. Isn't it beautiful? The dagger shows Pittsburgh's high degree of craftsmanship. That's no... The dagger shows a high degree of craftsmanship. It looks just like the Dagger of Amon Ra. Isn't it beautiful?
Fräulein, this gift shop is closed. You should not be here.
Oh, I'm sorry. The door was unlocked.
Unlocked? My assistant will be disciplined harshly for this mistake. Please rejoin the party now, or I will be forced to injure you.
Hi! You're having such a good time, I thought I'd introduce myself. I'm Laura Bow of the New Orleans Bows.
The fanatically happy snobs just ignore you entirely. They're having so much fun you're sure they're putting on an act to impress their friends.
Miss Bow?
Oh! Mr. Dorian?
That's right. We met at the docks.
Oh dear, your shoes. They aren't exactly formal.
Oh, well, I can explain that, but not right now.
I see. Well, what brings you here?
You.
Oh, me?
You told me you'd be here tonight, and, well, I thought we should talk.
Oh? About what?
Could we step outside for a minute? The moonlight is very nice tonight.
Well, all right. I think I'd enjoy that.
I just wanted to explain to you who I really am.
You're not Steve Dorian?
Well, yes, I am Steve Dorian, but I felt like I didn't give you the most accurate impression of myself when I met you earlier today. But, gee willikers, I'm just not used to meeting attractive young ladies on the docks.
I wasn't down there looking for a man. I'm a professional journalist working on a story.
Oh, well, yes, of course you are. I didn't mean to imply anything. In fact, I was very impressed with your professionalism and with your smile. I just didn't want you to think I'm a common stevedore.
Well, I'll admit I was wondering what a stevedore was doing at this ritzy museum fundraiser.
My stevedore job pays the bills, but I'm aiming for a career as an artist. However, I'm really here because I'd hate myself for the rest of my life if I didn't try to see you again. Maybe I'm a fool, maybe you think we're too different, but I had to try.
Well, I'm very flattered. Are you always this nervous?
I'm not very good with women. I've spent all my time working ever since I was 10 years old, when my father died. I've never had a chance to date very much. Lately, I've spent my free time going to school.
I'm starting to think we're more alike than I first thought. My mother died when I was very young, so I was raised by my father. What kind of an artist are you?
I'm a painter, and I do a little sculpting.
How interesting. But I think that an artist would know enough not to wear work boots with his tuxedo at a formal party.
Oh, I said I'd explain that, didn't I? I was hoping nobody would notice. I had to blow 2 weeks' pay to rent this tux, but I didn't have enough left over to rent the fancy shoes. It's just that I had to see you again.
You spent all your money just to see me? My goodness, I don't know what to say.
Say you'll have dinner with me some evening. I may seem a little odd, but I promise that I'm harmless. I'd be honored to spend an evening with you and show you the sights around town.
Well, I don't usually, but you've gone to a lot of trouble to find me. I think I can trust you.
Really? You'll do it? Oh, thank you. You won't regret it. I'll make it a memorable evening. I'll paint for you. I'll dance for you. I'll sing for you. Anything you want.
Well, there's no need to get carried away. Let's see how dinner goes first.
Of course. You're absolutely right. I don't seem too anxious, do I?
Maybe just a bit, but that's okay.
Okay. I'll take a deep breath and calm down. I'll be fine. I'll do whatever you want.
I think this is the beginning of something important, Steve. I like you already. Let's go back to the party, Steve. I've got work to do.
This is a mastodon, one of the early mammals. Technically, the mastodon is not a dinosaur at all, but since they date back to prehistory, they're included in the exhibit. This particular example of the order Proboscidea is the Mammoth americanus, or North American mastodon. The chief feature which distinguishes this shaggy beast from the elephant and the woolly mammoth are its molar teeth. You pick it up and place it in your purse. The remaining bones are too small to hold your interest. The dinosaur bone is fossilized, but you can still make out the porous structure of the calcium. Ooh! The thigh bone from a young Tyrannosaurus rex who no longer has any need for it. The bone is hard, heavy, and dusty. Feels like glass. The bone is fossilized and dusty. It's a Tyrannosaurus rex. His name is Rex. Isn't that clever? It looks like an admirable reconstruction of fake, leathery reptile skin. It feels like fake, leathery reptile skin. Now keep your hands off the displays. A fine painting of a mighty brontosaurus, the thunder lizard. This huge creature with its tiny brain is currently the subject of a controversy. Dr. Earl Douglas from the Carnegie Museum of Natural History believes that current brontosaurus displays have the wrong heads mounted on their skeletons. However, Dr. Othniel Marsh, who originally discovered the brontosaurus, believes that the heads on current displays are correct. Only time and more fossil evidence will conclusively prove which of these esteemed gentlemen is correct. A small sign identifies this dinosaur as an iguanodon, which means iguana tooth. However, from the Tyrannosaurus rex's point of view, this dinosaur could be identified as dinner. The remaining bones. The sign says, "Push button to hear Rex speak."
Welcome to the Linedecker Museum Dinosaur Display. My name is Rex, and I'd like to tell you about myself. I'm a type of dinosaur known as Tyrannosaurus rex, which means king of the tyrant lizards. Although I was not the largest type of dinosaur, I was the largest predator ever to walk the earth. Some of my friends were 40 feet long and weighed 8 tons, with teeth that were 6 inches long. Your modern elephants don't weigh more than 6 tons. I lived between 250 and 65 million years ago, during a period known as the Age of Dinosaurs, also called the Mesozoic era. The first complete skeleton of a Tyrannosaurus rex was found just 24 years ago in Montana in 1902. Although there were many meat-eating dinosaurs, I was considered the best killing machine who ever lived. Speaking of which, I'm feeling a bit hungry. Would you like to volunteer to be my next meal?
Suspended overhead by thin wires, the pterodactyl frozen in mid-swoop presents a most horrific tableau. It's a painting of a spinosaur. The painting is accurate and workmanly, with little regard for nuance or emotion. While it was fun to lock the door, you think better of it at this time, since it might annoy the museum's staff. Don't touch. The suit of armor is empty. No matter how closely you look, you see nothing at all in the suit of armor. The helmet on this Italian suit of armor, circa 1460, is interesting because it's a barboot which lacked protection for the lower part of the face. The barboot is sometimes called the barboot sallet because, like the 15th century sallet, it doesn't enclose the whole head, offering most of its protection to the top. Unlike the barboot, however, the sallet is often characterized by a reinforced forehead plate and an elongated pivoted nape defense. It is, however, difficult to differentiate between the barboot, the sallet, and the bassinet. The shallow barboot resembles the sallet, while the deep barboot resembles the bassinet. Then again, who really cares? It's an unmarked wood door with faded flecks of white paint on it. The door is locked. When you touch the doorknob, you get a heavy coating of dust all over the palm of your hand. It's the traditional sort of hinged transom that can be opened and closed for ventilation. It seems to have a lot of dust on it, as if it hasn't been used in a long time. The placard says, "This is a granite stele depicting Horus and Thoth, found in the Temple of Amon Ra. This stele was modified during the reign of the pharaoh Akhenaten, then restored during the reign of Tutankhamun." It looks remarkably like a glass case in the shape of a pyramid. A small card informs you that this case contained the famous Dagger of Amon Ra, which is now missing. Although there are a few scratches on the glass case, there are no signs of forced entry into the display. There aren't even any fingerprints. Oops! Congratulations! You've cracked the case of the Dagger of Amon Ra. Don't touch the sharp pieces of glass. You might cut yourself. Upon close inspection, Don't touch the shards of glass. They're sharp. You might cut yourself. Or you could put an eye out. Or any of a number of other things could happen that your mother warned you about when you were little and everything in your life was dangerous. This placard describes the full translated text on the Rosetta Stone, which still resides in the British Museum. In summary, the text records the decree made at Canopus by the priesthood in honor of the pharaoh Ptolemy III, Euergetes I, who reigned from 247 to 222 BC. The decree discusses the great benefits which the pharaoh had conferred on Egypt, and states what festivals are to be celebrated in his honor, concluding with orders that a copy of the decree in hieroglyphics, Demotic and Greek, shall be placed in every large temple in Egypt. The card identifies the slab of black basalt as the Rosetta Stone. Hieroglyphs and letters from the English alphabet are clearly engraved on the stone. The Rosetta Stone was found by a French artillery officer among the ruins of Fort Saint-Julien near the Rosetta mouth of the Nile River in 1799. It came into the possession of the British government after the capitulation of Alexandria. The Rosetta Stone, currently on loan to the Leyendecker Museum, is the key to modern translations of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs into English text. You notice that half of the Rosetta Stone seems to be missing from the display, replaced by a small card that reads, Artifact 310 removed from display for research on 9/1/26 by O.M. Ironically, there's a gold Ankh medallion, the ancient Egyptian symbol of life, resting in the pool of blood. You pick it up and place it in your purse. A gold Egyptian Ankh medallion with a bit of blood on it. You see the initials PS engraved on the back of the Ankh medallion. Apparently the shoe's owner stepped in some of the blood. It apparently belongs to a dainty foot. There's a narrow red footprint from a woman's high-heeled shoe on the floor. An inner mummy coffin which was contained in the exterior mummy coffin to the left. Identified from the cartouches on both coffins, the occupant was probably Hatshepsut, the female pharaoh, daughter of Thothmes I. Hatshepsut built the magnificent tomb temple at Deir el-Bahri and ruled for 20 years with her lover Senmut. At her death, Hatshepsut's successor tried to erase all memory of her by destroying her statues and obliterating her name from her various monuments. There's a pool of blood on the floor. You lightly touch the blood with your finger. It's wet. It's definitely blood. Most of it is still liquid, but some of it is already starting to dry. The mummy coffin is made of gilded wood painted with bright, colorful scenes from Hatshepsut's life. Perhaps for the first time in his life, Dr. Carter's hair is in disarray. Dr. Carter's flesh is looking rather pale, as if he's not feeling well. Perhaps it's because he's lost a lot of blood. From the look in his eye, it appears that Dr. Carter was surprised to find a dagger being inserted in his chest. Pippin's ear is unharmed. Dr. Carter's mustache is neatly trimmed. Pippin's nose appears to be undamaged. He does not appear to have suffered any blows to his face or nose. Pippin's shirt is immaculate, except for a few streaks of blood. His tie is partially undone, which is something that never would have happened if Dr. Carter had been alive to notice it. There's a slight bulge in Pippin's jacket, as if he's carrying something in an inside pocket. The jacket is free of blood, but there is a bluish stain on one lapel. A close look and sniff at the stain makes you think that it's grape juice. The bulge on one side is ruining the carefully tailored lines of the tuxedo. When you reach into Pippin's tuxedo jacket, you find a notepad in his inner pocket. A notepad made of good quality paper. There's an imprint on the paper from the previous message written on the pad, but it's too faint to read. Unreadable words are imprinted on the paper. You pick it up and place it in your purse. Pippin has a flower in his lapel, but it looks quite innocent. Dr. Carter seems to have suffered a severe trauma to his chest area. A red fluid appears to be leaking out of Dr. Carter's chest wound. A red fluid appears... By removing the notepad from Pippin's pocket, You have improved the appearance of his tuxedo jacket. If he was still alive, he'd certainly thank you. Pippin's pants are neatly pressed, but there are streaks of blood and a damp stain. Dr. Carter's flesh is looking rather pale, as if he's not feeling well. Perhaps it's because he's lost a lot of blood. His hair is a bit greasy, as if he hasn't washed it today. It has a slight smell of cigarette smoke, which is probably from the party. His right eye is somewhat bloodshot, as if he's been working long hours recently in preparing the ancient Egypt exhibit for public display. The pupil is very small, which is either a reaction to bright light or to a sudden shock of some kind. His nostrils are flared, as if in anger or surprise, in death as in life. He's looking down his nose at you. Although there are a couple of breadcrumbs caught in his mustache, they don't seem to be significant as evidence, particularly since you saw him eating bread at the party. A close look reveals that Pippin kept his ears very clean. There are no signs of scratches or bruises on his flesh. This could mean that the murderer, assuming this wasn't a suicide, knew Dr. Carter well enough to get close and stab him without arousing any suspicion. Or it could just mean that Dr. Carter was completely taken by surprise when someone assaulted him from the shadows. No cavities in his teeth. The tongue is arched as if to say, You're not sure if the gaping mouth means he was trying to scream or that rigor mortis is setting in, stretching his face muscles. However, he has only been here a short time. Pippin isn't breathing, but you detect the smell of garlic on his breath. It isn't a pleasant smell. There is a wide cut in the shirt fabric where the dagger sliced through to Pippin's chest. The cut is slightly wider than the width of the blade, as if it moved to one side after it penetrated his body. The flower is fake. It has no detectable smell. A tube runs from the back of the flower, behind the lapel, down to a squeeze bulb inside the vest. When you squeeze the bulb, a weak stream of water squirts you in the eye. A close look at the dagger reveals the words, "Made in Pittsburgh," stamped on the part of the blade that is not buried in Pippin Carter's chest. To your naked eye, the rough surface of the dagger handle doesn't appear to hold any fingerprints, but that's something for the coroner to examine in detail. Studying the location of the dagger wound and its proximity to the vest, it's safe to conclude that the blood on the vest is coming out of the wound on Pippin's chest. From the smell of the damp stain, it appears that Dr. Carter was quite surprised by the stabbing. His hair is a bit greasy. The jacket is free of blood, but there is a blue. From the smell of the it feels greasy to the touch. You poke Pippin's right eye. A tear trickles down his cheek. You poke him in the eye. His eyeball feels squishy. Keep your fingers out of Dr. Carter's nose. His mustache feels stiff. His ear feels cold. His flesh feels cold and clammy. His mouth and tongue feel dry. You hear a disturbing gurgling noise when you poke Pippin in the chest. It feels fake. A bit of water trickles out from the center of the flower. There is nothing else in Pippin's tuxedo jacket except lint, which you don't need. The vest has a smooth, silky feel to it. Nice material. You lightly touch the blood with your finger. It's wet. That would be highly improper, Laura. His flesh feels cold and clammy. Silence alone is great. A red fluid. Dr. Carter seems to have...
You scream like a banshee, lass. Did you kill the man, then?
No, I just walked in here and found him.
I suppose that would explain your screaming, then. Did you see the murderer?
No.
All right, I'll talk to you later after you've had a chance to calm down. Just don't try to leave the building.